Hey everyone, it's LaShonda from Labors of Love with another Therapy Thursday video. Today I want to talk to you about but you learned something. To give you the history behind that phrase, I do a lot of work with schools, training and consulting. And I was consulting at an elementary school, and I was going around the school doing observations. And I went into a kindergarten classroom. The teacher's name is Miss Harris. And Miss Harris had a group of kindergartners, and it was after lunch, but their day was kind of messed up because of testing. So they were doing their phonics lesson in the afternoon. And these kids were singing a phonics song that I have never heard of, but it was really cute. They all knew the words and they were jumping around and just singing the song and really enjoying it. And after the song, they did some sight words. And then after that, the teacher instructed the children to go back to their desks, where each child had an individualized whiteboard and a dry erase marker. So Miss Harris said, spell pot, pa-ot, on your board. So all the kids are writing on their boards. And then she selected one little girl to go up to the big dry erase board and write the word pot on the board. So the little girl went up there and she drew this big old P and this little bitty O and a T with the cross line way too close to the top, and it was actually really cute. And the little girl turned around and Miss Harris said, "So how do you spell pot?" And the little girl said, P-O-T. And Miss Harris said, "Yes, P-O-T." And then she said to the rest of the classroom, "If you wrote P-O-T on your board, give yourself a check. If you didn't, does it matter?" And at the same time, all of the children in the class said, "No." And she said, "No, because you learned something." So I honestly don't remember the date of that day, but I do know that that changed my life, because I realized that 5 and 6 year olds were in school and they were only given two options. They either got it right or they learned something. Isn't that powerful? I began to think of how different my life would be if my options were that I got it right or that I learned something. So for me, in full disclosure, I've spent a lifetime avoiding doing things wrong. I like to say that I am a recovering perfectionist, right? And there are a lot of reasons behind that. I don't know if many of you are familiar with the Enneagram, but I am a 2 on an Enneagram, pretty textbook. Everything is about connection and feeling and seeing myself as being helpful. And so I had to do things right because I felt like if I did them wrong, people would disconnect from me. And that was terribly difficult. Also, to share, and my father did the best that he could. When I came home from school, in elementary school, and I had all A's and a B, one of the first questions I got was, "Why do you have that B? What's up with that B? How do we make that B an A?" And so I had constant reinforcements throughout life that it didn't matter how well I did. If there was something that was below perfect, then I needed to get that up. We also walk around with this idea that as long as you give 100% effort, then you've done your best, and that's good. The challenge with teaching our children and holding the expectation for ourselves that we give 100% effort is that that doesn't leave room for anything. That doesn't leave room for a bad day. It doesn't leave room for illness. It doesn't, 100%. People who are striving for 100% always feel like there's more to give. And so I wanted to share this today as school is getting back in, because it doesn't just apply to our children, but it's a great lesson for our children, is that what if we treated the things that we got wrong as not failures, but opportunities to learn? It sounds good in theory, but sometimes it's so hard. But ever since that day in Miss Harris's classroom, it's informed and changed the way that I parent my physical children as well as my inner children. It impacts the way I view myself. There are some things that I do right and I do them very well. And there are some things that I get wrong. But instead of viewing those things as a failure and allowing it to impact my self-worth, I choose to look at it as an opportunity to learn something. So I wanted to share that all with you today, hoping that it will inspire compassion for not only our children who are returning to school, learning new things and learning new people, but also ourselves as we have compassion on ourselves. If you have a difficult time with failure or what you perceive to be failure, Labors of Love would love to walk alongside you on that journey. Feel free to reach out to us at www.thelaborsoflove.com. Please follow us on all of the major social media platforms and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next week, be well.